Hello, and welcome back to Season 4 of the Fresh Finds Podcast, the show about discovering new music with good people. I'm Ryan, and this month I'm sitting down with Kristy from the Nashville Emo Punk band 95COROLLA. How are you doing, man?
I'm having a really wild morning.
I'm sure.
We released the record a few hours ago, and I have to keep my phone away from me because it is kind of blowing up, and I'm like, this is it's really overwhelming. It's really overwhelming.
That's amazing for you, though. I'm so happy for you for that.
I really appreciate it. It's been a really, really crazy time. I've been doing this on accident for 3 years.
Yeah.
This all started a long time ago. Yeah, I'll just kind of give it into like a little history.
I was gonna say, do you want to introduce yourself, what you do in the band first, and then we'll kind of roll into that?
Yeah. Okay. So cool. My name's Kristy. I am the singer, rhythm guitarist of 95COROLLA, and I'm so happy to be here.
Dude, happy to be here too, man. I'm so glad that we could make it work out.
I know,
so that
and
we
this
did
is
it in
live.
person. It's great. Primary songwriter as well, correct?
I think that is a really, really good question because I think that something that's really important to me is collaboration.
Oh yeah.
This first record ended up being, yes, primary songwriter. And it's something I'm a little uncomfortable with because I feel like it takes away from how important everyone else is in the collaboration aspect of stuff.
Yeah.
I threw the demos together and I'm grateful for everyone saying yes, they liked it. Let's move forward with these songs. But I can't wait to write with them.
Mm-hmm.
This was definitely hey, I have the songs. Let's produce, record, and do that and organize and do the whole thing. And I'll teach you guys these parts. And that's the record that's out literally today is that thing.
Yeah. So going to the very beginning.
Yes.
This all started, first song released in 2021. Is that correct?
I believe so. So the history here is I wasn't going to do music in general. I went to school for sound design for movies, and I wanted to, do sound design and do composing for movies. So yes, music, but not in a band.
You were gonna do more compositional, cinematic,
yes.
that type. So I didn't even realize that you had that background.
I have I scored 2 short. I have an IMDb thing. I've been involved with a couple of things, and I was really going to do that. And then when I was 30, a friend of mine, I was at this bar that he worked at, and he asked me if I could play bass. And I've played guitar in my whole life and piano my whole life. So I was yeah, I could. I mean, I know a bass is as much as anybody else.
the classic guitarist thing of I'm a guitarist, of course I can play bass.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so I met up with him, and we started this project called Ryoki Center. And Ryoki Center was a noise rock thing, and it was probably the most interesting project. If anything, 95COROLLA is the stuff that I actually listen to.
Okay.
And I love emo, I love pop punk, I love punk, I love that stuff. The sing-along stuff. But the people that I was with, it was a 3-piece, Sam and Richie, they wanted to do this noise rock thing, and I was so fascinated by it because it was basically keyless. I got to learn a completely new kind of thing.
Sure.
We put out a record, broke up immediately afterwards. It was a bad breakup. And I've told this to a lot of people, but out of spite, I've started making music. And so because of my movie background, I was okay, well, if I want to get into movies and if I want to get on sync and I want to be known for writing, I should probably make a post-rock record.
Okay.
And so I made a post-rock band by myself called Antler Shell. And it was me learning how to mix, me learning how to master.
Learning how to do the whole process.
Logic, baby. This
yes,
is
sir.
me. Logic is my favorite. Reaper, I'm fascinated by. Fuck Avid. I want to make sure that I put that as hard as I can, underlined in red.
We
Fuck
were literally
Avid.
just talking about this last night, too.
I fucking hate it. I refuse.
Subscription models suck.
It's so stupid. But so I made that record, enjoyed making it, and then I was listening to some song in 2021. I don't remember exactly what it was, but I was in my sunroom with my wife, Lex, who's been my muse this entire time. And they mentioned parking lots. And I remember having a couple jokes and be I could write a song about parking lots. And she was like, do it. And so I did. And I wrote that this EP sucks, I promise, which is 7 songs. Maybe it's 6 songs. I don't even remember.
Really that long? I need to pull that up to confirm.
It's like 6 or 7 songs. I had taken one off, but I think it was 7 and is now 6.
Okay.
And I slowly released that just on Bandcamp, and there was this moment where people were fucking with it, and that was like the original version of No Thanks LOL is on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And everything was just kind of like, I was posting it on Facebook and everywhere, and it's just kind of slowly but surely I was like, wait, what if this was like a band? And like, my wife and I would talk about it, and she was like, well, I mean, let's see how far this can go. And that was 3 years ago.
Okay.
So, and so I'm just still like blinders on, just like seeing how far this will go.
No, totally fair. Yeah. Okay. So that first EP that you were talking about isn't on streaming anymore.
No, it was never on streaming. It was always on Bandcamp.
On Bandcamp.
Because I had to do everything myself, and it was like, I didn't have the money to I didn't know DistroKid. I didn't know any of that stuff.
To pay for the distribution and all that.
So I was like, I'll just do on fucking Bandcamp and just see like what happens.
Well, that's the interesting thing I feel like for a lot of like new projects is you kind of just like have to feel that stuff out and like learn it for yourself. And it's like a lot of people at least kind of know Bandcamp from like one thing or the other. They don't necessarily know about like, CD Baby or DistroKid or anything like that. And so like that's something that comes later once you talk to other people who have done this.
I think that you're right, because it's like the top level. I think everyone knows that Bandcamp is like Bandcamp or SoundCloud.
Yeah,
it's like level 1. It's not Weenie Hut Jr. Like this is like level 1. You're learning how to like starting to put music out.
Yeah, this is like you actually have a real song as opposed to a bunch of demos.
I think I think the first thing you find out is that you can't just post to Spotify.
Yeah,
I think everybody
Google. Thinks that. Yeah, because you're like, how do I put my song on Spotify?
And then it's put it on Bandcamp. And so like I would say that's level 1. Level 2 is putting it on Bandcamp or SoundCloud or something, and then level 3 is saving the money for DistroKid or CD Baby.
Yeah.
I think it's a DistroKid. It really was my friend there for a bit, which like they just made it so simple and made me kind of. I think that's where everyone gets their toes wet into like the concept of distribution.
Oh yeah,
it's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. So moving on after like you kind of released that, the first single that you released as 95 Corolla was No Thanks LOL, the original version, which now there's a new version on the album, but we'll get into that later. So like, did anything really come from that initially? Because like looking at that, you had that and then 2 other singles that came out in 2022. And then early 2023, you put out the Loud, Fast, Sad EP.
Yeah, okay. So just to make sure everyone understands a little bit of how I work, in the beginning, I'm not going to do this for the next LP, but for the first LP and the first EP and the second EP, I guess, is about Jesus fucking Christ.
So much stuff.
I would name the project before I wrote any lyrics.
Oh, interesting.
So I didn't like No Thanks LOL. No Thanks LOL was, man, I didn't like it.
Really?
And so it ended up being something that grew with me, and then I wrote the lyrics around the name of the project.
Oh, interesting. I've heard of other people doing that before, but it's never been something that I've thought of.
It was a really like weird kind of situation, because I was just like, again, thought it was a throwaway song. I was listening to a bunch of Pet Symmetry and like decided to write something a little bit faster. Again, not fast enough. Yeah. But like I didn't understand like that how fast we could go, and it was a lot of fun. And that when I released that one to everyone, that was the one that my wife said like, oh, I think you have something here.
Yeah.
And that was the original version of that, which is, I would say the first EP is definitely like a softer modern baseball. I was listening to so much modern baseball then, but it's definitely slow. That first EP is so much slower.
It's not quite as punky.
No, it's definitely like this almost indie thing where it's like I think that if you guys know Logic, there's a bunch of drum options.
The drummer presets.
Yeah, the drummer presets. Like in one of the drums is called Heavy, and that was what we used for the Loud Fast Sad EP. And then SoCal is the one.
Classic.
SoCal is the one I used for the original one. It's a lighter sounding drum.
Honestly, though, like if you're like just demoing out songs, it's such a great tool to just like
great.
get something down and be able to jam over it?
I didn't write a single drum on the original EP. I used all drummer stuff.
Okay.
And compressed it so that it worked a little bit better.
Yeah, because I don't think that generally they work great in a mix, but you can make them
they're really
work.
bad in the mix, so you have to still fuck with them, but they will get the notes right.
Yeah.
And it's awesome. The drummer thing, if you are diving into like any kind of production and you got songs in your fucking head, drummer on Logic is going to make you feel like that you found a drummer.
Yeah, it actually is crazy, and they just added like a whole bunch more stuff to it.
It's crazy.
Too.
It's so fucked up.
Yeah. So moving on from that, we've kind of gone through like the first couple of singles, the first EP. You started dropping singles from the new album.
Okay.
Late last year. Did you know it was going to be an album at that point, or were you just dropping songs?
Okay, so after all the songs were dropped for This EP Sucks, I Promise, I decided to start finding a band.
Okay.
So there's a famous Nashville Facebook group called Nashville Hardcore.
Okay.
And it's for fucking everything. I mean, you could use it for country if you want to be DIY. It's a DIY thing.
Sure.
I would say that's the best way to explain it. It's not a pop punk, emo, alternative thing. It's strictly a DIY, like house shows. You can book shows there. And so I posted a thing saying, hey, here's this song. And I didn't get a lot of traction, but then there was the drummer, Colton, posted on there saying, I haven't drummed in a long time. I would like to get back into it. Mm-hmm. And he posted on Nashville Hardcore, and we're talking 200 comments. It was something crazy. And someone tagged me on the post.
Oh.
And I just posted no thanks so well as a reply to that.
Okay.
So apparently he said he listened to all of them, and then he saw mine and said you.
Oh,
and I was like, this is like a fucking destiny moment. And it was
of all the people that
I know, it was like a really, really crazy thing. And we found our old bassist Brett through the same thing. And then it was a 3-piece for a second while we were writing stuff. We were practicing in Colton's place in Madison. And I think it was us three, and we released the Loud Fast Sad EP. I produced the Loud Fast Sad EP in my fucking room.
Yep.
And
classic.
We released it, and then we got a storage unit, and that's when stuff was starting to actually be written for the LP.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. So when you were releasing those singles late last year, like I think Exit was the first one, right?
So Exit was the first one that we wrote after we brought on Mikey.
Okay.
So we brought on Mikey during the days of the storage unit. Because if you look at the picture for Loud Fast Sad, it is at the storage unit.
Yeah.
So during the last 2 months of the storage unit, we brought Mikey on. It was one of the best decisions we've ever made as a band. That guy can fucking shred, and he's an incredible producer.
I was going to say, he produced this entire project, right?
He's produced the entire LP. I gave all of it to him. He was like, let me take a crack at it. And I was like, yeah, dude, I don't know what I'm fucking doing. And he has turned it he's so fucking talented. I'm trying to get him a job here, in Nashville doing production. He's got to be doing it.
Dude,
he's so incredibly talented. And
the hard thing with Nashville is that it's just so saturated.
It's so saturated, and so he just needs to get in on something. I need to get it. I need to I'm trying to point people to him to do it, because he could just do it in his room apparently. So
I feel like you need to have one project that you can point to that you're like, oh yeah, this is what I can do, and I feel like this is kind of that for him probably.
I think that I think that once he has 2 or 3 under his belt, it's like when you're climbing a wall, you have to have 3 holds in order to move forward.
Yeah.
It's like I want him to have 3 prongs of attack in order to get this. I want him to get in. And I think if he has, that'll be fine. Because there's a lot of people that I know that work here, and I think that he could easily get a job if he gets in.
Sure.
He just needs to get that foot in.
Yeah. So the new record came out today. Which is actually crazy timing.
Yeah.
But so that got released on We're Trying Records.
Yeah.
Which has some of the craziest lineup of all of
Shout
the
out
DIY
Jordan,
labels
dog.
right
Holy
now.
shit, that guy knows how to pick them. I am the luckiest person in the world that Jordan reached out. And listen, Jordan reached out for a long time.
They reached out to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was what I was going to ask. Was if you kind of shopped it around, or if that was just a very organic thing.
I'll be completely fucking honest. I have booked 5 shows.
Okay.
In total. And that's the tour that we're about to go on.
Yeah.
I book the tour. Any other show we've played, we've been asked to play.
Dude, that is incredible.
It's been a really crazy experience. I feel, like I said, I'm the luckiest person in the world. I'm so grateful because it's been the least amount of stress. Like, I will say booking the tour was crazy stressful.
Oh, I'm
and
sure.
I'm like, I don't want to do this again. Like, I'm not sure if I will because like it was a lot. And I mean, I think it'd be easier now that the record's out, but like, holy shit. We've just been so lucky that everyone has reached out to us.
Yeah, no, that's crazy.
It's fucking crazy. For me, people talking about it, I'm like, oh yeah, I should shut up. I should shut up, dude, because part of it's been a little easy.
This shit ain't nothing to me, man.
Everybody's always talking about all the hardships of being in a band. Christy's like, I don't know what you're talking about, man.
Everyone keeps asking me to do stuff. Like, it's been a really, really. I think it's also like I'm trying to do. Listen, I'm going to shout out Will from Full Blown Meltdown, who's truly the whole inspiration about what the face of 95 Corolla is.
Okay.
I think that as long as you are nice and you are kind and you you help homies, like,
no, there's a huge community aspect of that where it's
Yes.
like you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours, and it's like there's just so much where like if you try and support other people, they'll be more likely to support you, and it just makes everything easier for everybody.
Like, shout out just Twitter in general. Like,
Yeah.
I as much as like, yes, for the last 10 years
It's a
it
rotten
is
hellhole,
it is the hell site. It has been nothing but a completely positive experience for, I know, hundreds of people that we all talk to.
Yeah.
And it's just absolutely insane how important it is.
Yeah, absolutely. And like along with that too, you guys have a limited tape run coming out of this album as well that you're doing through Reply Guy, which is also another like Twitter thing.
Shout out Nikki, Kim, and Michael. Those three are truly the homies. Nikki is like, he was probably my first like really good friend here in DIY. And then Rosie, shout out Losing Team, Checkmate, and Party's Over. We're playing with Party's Over.
Oh, nice.
On next week.
That's the Chicago show, right?
Columbus.
Columbus.
She's driving from Maryland to Columbus to play the show.
Damn.
It's fucking crazy. But I'm really hyped to hang out with her and see Nikki there. The limited tape run thing is, I feel lucky to be like one of within the first 5 of like, they're like, Reply Guy Records is gonna be a bigger thing. And
I think so. Yeah.
I think they are truly having the most fun with it because they're truly listeners. Like, I think there needs to be more people that are not like, that's what I love about DIY. Everyone's a listener and isn't getting involved as a listener, and it's awesome.
No, I've talked about this before where it's like so many times just in life in general, you'll have stuff where somebody has this crazy idea, whether it's we should start a band, we should start a podcast, we should do this, that, the other thing. And it's always people who talk mad shit and then they never actually follow through on anything.
Yeah.
And it's like this scene of all of these people, everybody's the type of person that goes, I should do that, and then actually fucking does it. It's crazy.
I think when I think about DIY, there's always 2 people. There's always Will.
Yep.
Will is kind of like the face of like what I want people to be like. And then there's the complete opposite side of the coin, which is, yes, I want to be this person, but they're my favorite, just like they don't give a fuck. And that's shout out Madison James from No Good With Secrets.
Okay.
All right. Homie is like a analog queen. Like, they are always making their own stuff. They make everything by themselves. They did there's this whole thread because I think Ogbert, they're in the lead singer of Ogbert the Nerd.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He did a whole thread on Twitter on just the background thing, the canvas that you make for Spotify.
Oh, yeah.
He did this whole breakdown of how he did it. And it was like, here is this VHS footage. I ran it through this thing and he was tapping the wire. He was doing his own glitch work.
Yeah,
all this shit.
That's wild.
And it's just for like this 5-second thing behind the image of like what you see when you play on Spotify.
That like half the people have turned off.
Yeah, half the people turned off. The work he did just for that alone. And it's just, that is what Homie does. He is just, everyone follow Quartz Morgan. Homie is truly like the spirit of like, he's like the Tesla of DIY.
It is really funny though how it's just like everybody just has these ideas and like actually commits to them.
Yeah,
and, like,
it's about just saying yes and like walking the walk.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that that's so cool that there are so many people who just have that idea and just roll with it and are doing just cool shit.
I love it. I'm just so lucky to be here, and I feel like everyone else feels. That's also the other thing. Everyone feels so lucky to be here.
Yeah, no, I don't think that anybody takes the scene or the community for granted.
Completely.
Because everybody knows that, like, without that, we'd just be a bunch of random people who don't know each other and have no reach at all.
I know. It's so crazy.
So, is there anything else specifically that you want to talk about with, like, the new record, as far as, like, background, like, kind of like what you were going for with it?
Yeah, so the inspiration of longtime listener, first time caller is I've listened to emo music and every iteration of it for the last... I'm 36 years old. I just want to make sure everyone understands. Like, I'm old as fuck, and it's never too late. Anyone who's old listening to this, start a fucking band. Anyways, it doesn't matter. Like, I started this when I was 33. Like, it doesn't matter. I'm touring at 36. I'm going to hurt my back, and I can't wait. The inspiration of all this, is specifically the name, is I've been listening to this stuff for a long time, and this is my first time calling back. Like, that is true.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, like, this is it. I've been a long time listener, and this is my first time caller. Like, that is the whole thing.
I like it.
So each song kind of has their own inspiration of, like, what band they're from, or, like, the first kind of opener song is based off of, like, Coheed. Coheed always did, like, weirdo intros. Then I want to see if anyone has gotten this yet, but everyone should listen to Be Careful, and then also watch the music video to Quiet Things No One Ever Knows by Brand New.
Okay.
It was huge in 2005 or 2004 when it came out, but To Be Careful is based off of that music video. I couldn't say I didn't want to make a song based off of Brand New because I just want to make it very, very clear. I love Deja Entendu. Love that record. Jesse Lacey's a huge piece of shit. Just want to make sure that is very fucking clear. But, you know, I wrote that song based off of the music video because I thought it'd be really funny to do it not in homage to Brand New, but a music video from Brand New.
Yeah, no, that's interesting.
To go a little bit further away from him.
You're like, this is a song based off of a music video, based specifically off the cinematography of the music video.
And so then there's, like, you know, I have my Oceans Avenue song, which is No Coast. If anyone has heard the song Error Operator by Take It Back Sunday, that is Planter. Everything else was kind of like a little bit. I had these songs, but it was more like written with, like, listen to Armor for Sleep. That has been kind of like a huge inspiration as well. Basically, a lot of, like, mid 2000s emo just kind of all leaked it through the whole record.
Sure. Yeah.
And that's basically it. And it was just kind of like my little homage to it.
Yeah. Are there any plans? So obviously, like I mentioned, you're doing the limited tape run. Mm-hmm. Are there any plans to do any other physicals, like vinyl, CDs, anything like that?
I talked to Jordan. Today.
Nice.
We will be doing vinyl.
Nice.
We will do a vinyl of the record. When is after tour.
Up in the air.
In the air. It's going to happen.
Well, in getting vinyl done, there's so much like lead up to it.
I'm like, okay, so it's like we had to kind of think about it. We were like, okay, what kind of merch should we do? What is the most appropriate thing to do? Who also gives a shit? Like, you know, what are the rules here? And I wanted people, there's something really important to me that I want the face, the view, the personification of the band to be. I don't want to be merch first. I don't want to release a record and also release pre-orders of the record.
Okay.
Like there's something that I wanted to keep it separate. I wanted to be like, listen, I want you to enjoy the record first. Sure. And then if you want to buy it, that option is later.
I think that there's also something there that's like a good business decision, like not only kind of like the separating, because you can kind of like let people marinate in the art a little bit, and then, but I think that like from a business standpoint too, there's also like you've got the release of the album, and then like a few months later, say you do it like 6 months later or something like that, kind of renews interest by releasing the vinyl. Now people are like, oh yeah, I should revisit that again.
Yeah, I think that there's maybe that's like the big spin where where I can say it does completely renew interest. And like maybe I wonder if there's some like math there where like if you do a pre-order of the record and you release on the same day, is it as good as, is it really 2x in comparison to doing it like, individual over the next, couple of weeks? Yeah, there's some in data analytics can figure that shit out. But I think I just think it's important to at least show that, hey, the music's out. Yeah. I want you to fucking listen to it. If you want to, don't worry about buying shit yet. Yeah. like just enjoy it. Don't worry about it. Come see us on tour, which is next week. But I mean, you get to. It's still participating in the music side rather than like the merch side.
Yeah. Well, I think that because it's like there's more of like the business transactional side of things. That's the kind of like merch aspect.
Yeah,
and then there's more of like the like community cultural togetherness aspect of like actually experiencing the music, whether it's listening to it on streaming or going to a show or whatever.
Also, if you are releasing pre-orders and like doing all that stuff as you release a record, do it. I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
It's just a personal philosophy.
It's just like literally my personal philosophy. Yeah. I do. If you do it and I love your band, I'm gonna still pre-order the fucking. I'll still participate in that way. It is strictly just a philosophy of mine.
No, I totally get that. So another thing that I'm interested in, speaking of, because vinyl made me think of like the artwork of it, because like that's a big draw, at least to me, for getting vinyl, is being able to see like the artwork way bigger.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's really important.
I think it's interesting the story behind what you did to make this cover art.
Okay, so I think it's equipment that was going around and they brought like a Game Boy camera, or like they brought a Game Boy Advanced or something like that.
Yeah, with the little like printer.
With the little printer. They were taking it to shows and stuff, and they were like taking pictures, and that's what they were doing. And I was like, oh, that's so fucking good. That's like so genius. Shout out Equipment. Alt Account was still my favorite record from last year.
Nice.
Now I just was in the group chat and I was like, does anyone have like a Game Boy camera or like like a weird question, because like I'm the oldest one. It would be me that would have it. And so we also got a new bassist, Diggy. She is Mike's friend. Shout out her. She is like so incredible. She has a degree in bass at fucking Belmont.
Oh, geez.
Yeah. So she's so fucking cool and talented, and I'm so impressed with her. Love her. Brett was definitely like an incredible dude. Just ended up not working out, and we're really happy to have Diggy here. Now, one of the first things Diggy did was she responded to that with, well, I have a Nintendo DS.
Okay.
And so she...
Or the DSi, I think, probably. Yeah.
She also said she had it. I was also like, okay, cool. So you have that. And I was like, who has, like... We also, like, went around to try to find, like, a phone. Any kind of phone that would be, like, old and, like... It's a little on the nose, but, like, I kind of like it.
Yeah.
And she said, well, she has, like, this fake rotary phone that was yellow.
Yeah.
And I was like, shut up. So, like, you came into the band and she just like went out one day and started taking pics. And for some reason that one picture came out so weird.
Yeah.
It's like this weird dark purple, this really, really light yellow. And she wrote 95 Corolla inside of
on the thing.
On the phone. And Mikey and Colton and I were like, that's fucking it, dude. That's it. This is gonna zoom out and look so pixelated and shit when we put this on vinyl, and I can't fucking wait, dude.
Well, that's the thing that I think is really funny is using the fucking DSi camera. It's like that was never intended to be used for anything like that.
I'm so hyped of the way that it ended up looking, because like it looks so strange.
Yeah,
it's a very, very strange looking picture that we've never seen. It's obviously something went weird in the processing of it, and we just got so lucky. Yeah. This is something that Madison would have figured out how to do and purposely do this. But we did it on accident.
Well, I always find it funny when there's like that sort of technological thing where somebody's like, oh, I want this to look or sound degraded like this. You're doing it as an effect.
Yes.
But then people try and do it like in post-processing or something instead of like, oh, well, just use the old ass equipment. It's like you see people using like these crazy like digital cameras and they're like, I want to get this VHS effect. It's like, just record it on the VHS camera, dude.
I wanted to get for tour a VHS camera.
Didn't you get one and then it like immediately died or something?
No, I found a camera that sucks.
Oh, okay.
I was like, okay, if I can't, right. First of all, shout out Bummer Hill. Their music video for "Have a Nice Life" is shot on a shitty camera, and I was so inspired by them. I love them so much. Their new record is insane. So they had a and they shot a bunch of stuff in Nashville. You see like the Third Man Records in their video, and I was like, fuck yeah, dude. This is why it was so inspiring. But it's on a shitty fucking camera, and I was like, I can buy a shitty camera.
I can do that.
I want a shitty camera, and so like we found like the perfect setting. We're gonna start like filming a lot more stuff. But I was like going to do again the Madison James thing. I was gonna get a VHS fucking player, and then I was gonna get a VHS to digital, and I was gonna like fuck with the tape. I was gonna do the whole thing.
Fucking mad scientist
dude,
shit.
It's homie. I wanted to do it so bad, but it's a lot of work, and I don't have that kind of time.
Oh man, that's so funny. Is there anything else that you specifically wanted to hit on this before we like move on to the next part of the episode? It's really funny because like I just checked the time. I was like, I feel like we haven't been going for like any time at all, and I think it's already been like almost a half hour.
Well, okay, so I'll talk about. All right, so I'm gonna think about this like kind of at the end of the Hot Ones episodes.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, cool. All right, so
this camera, that camera.
Yeah. Okay, so stuff that's coming up for us. We are playing George Fest tomorrow.
Yep.
When this comes out, that will have already happened.
Tour in the next week. That will also have already happened.
So George Fest tomorrow, got tour. We're going to St. Louis, Iowa City, Chicago, Columbus, then back to Nashville, playing with a bunch of cool ass bands. I'm really hyped to go to my hometown of Iowa City and see all the folks there. In Chicago, we're getting to play with 10 Month Summer, who are like literally the day ones.
That's crazy.
Love them forever. Playing with label mates with Year Twins and Parties Over in Columbus, and then coming down in Nashville, we're actually playing with Leisure Hour.
Nice.
Which is going to be really, really hype. Love them. Shout out Leisure Hour. Then in July, we've got a bunch of stuff. Actually, in June, we're playing with Glazed, the week after tour. Then in July, we're playing with Clipboards and Final Boss Fight.
Nice.
At Arcane. We are playing with Stop, Drop, and Rewind somewhere in October. There's a bunch of stuff. It's all going to be announced, and it's all be fun. Going to be, again, we're just so lucky that we get to do any of this. We have a couple of compilations that we're going to be on.
Nice.
Wink, wink. And we're really, really hyping those songs, and some stuff next year that people are talking to us about. And it's just, I think this is kind of like the beginning of like, just again, seeing where this goes.
It's crazy when you get to the point that you've got like kind of like plans already in the works for like a year plus out.
Yeah.
Because it's like you start out and you're just kind of like, putting the tracks down right in front of the train.
Yeah.
And then you get to the point where you're like, oh, we actually like have a little bit going on here.
Yeah. It's like I think I've talked to some like bigger bands, and I'm like, okay, so how far are you like, planned out? And they would tell me like, we're planning for the next year and a half.
Yeah.
And I think that there's kind of a part of me that's kind of sad, because it's like there's nothing surprising for the next year and a half. Like you'd have like I love having an open day and like or like an open fog of war style like week. And I can't imagine having all that stuff planned, because I'm so spontaneous that I can't like think of that.
That's one of the things that I'm kind of like playing with, trying to figure out with like doing this. This was the first year that I like scheduled people out way in advance, so that I like knew for the most part what the schedule was going to be for the most of the year, which has been great on one side, because it's like I've already got people that I've reached out to, so I just have to be like, hey, just a reminder, we've got this coming up. When can you record? Whatever. But it's also like there have been some really cool opportunities that I've had to turn down because slots are already filled.
Yeah, dog.
And it's like, especially in DIY, like it sucks sitting on something that you've got done.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just want to finish something and then just put it out into the world right away. And I totally get that. But if you're trying to like do promo, like get on a podcast or get on a tour or anything like that, you have to have a lot of lead time in order to actually be able to make any of that work.
I will say, when it comes to like the planning side of it, the weird band thing, there's a lot of weird band things.
Yeah.
And I did 30 some episodes of a podcast just trying to talk about this stuff. One
of my favorite podcasts.
Shout out Five at the Door. You're on pause right now because I'm a little busy, but I'll probably start you up later. It'll be a forever thing that I'll do for as long as I want, but
when
it will never be
the,
actually done.
The chance. Yeah.
The thing about being in a band is that it's about slots. It's about like, okay, cool, I can do this. And the perfect balance, I think, is planning like 3 months at a time.
Yeah.
Because then all the people that are planning 6 months at a time, you always get that opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And you can sift through all of those to find the best ones that you want to do.
Oh, interesting.
And because if you're only planning 3 months ahead of a time, you're planning less than everyone. So you get to like, everyone's already planning all that stuff. So you get to like keep it on like to yourself for a little bit because you're only planning 3 months.
Yeah.
So,
well, and you can also kind of like fill in gaps where
Exactly.
like if something happens and somebody has to fall off of a tour or whatever,
Exactly.
you're like, oh, well, we're still available. You can just kind of like hop in there.
like there was this, they announced, I think Harrison Gordon and Trash announced that they were doing this tour.
Yeah.
And they had a Nashville date. And I am leaving for tour on the 5th and they're playing the 4th.
Oh.
And so there was no way I could even ask. Am I bummed out that I didn't even get, like, I'm bummed out I didn't get the chance to ask.
Yeah.
Like, so that is, that's some of the weird band stuff. Another weird band thing is like, you have to like, it's just, the planning stuff is just weird. Be open. Just be open to everything and like, just be fucking nice and kind. That's it. And then everything will be chill.
Yeah, no, I think I honestly think that that's the way to do it.
That's the only way to do it.
Treat everybody well, try and say yes to as many opportunities as you can, and just keep that momentum rolling.
And also go to shows.
Yes, no, absolutely. I think that that's something that's kind of underrated that people don't always talk about. Is like, there's not a scene if people only go to shows that they're playing.
Yeah, and so it's really, really important, like, to like go to the small stuff. Like, one of my favorite local bands here. I've got these two bands that I've played with a lot, and that's OK Koala and Boy Clothes. Mm-hmm. Shout out them for like playing so much and still coming to my shows, and I'm trying to go to more to their shows. It's been, again, being a 36-year-old man, it's really, really hard to be up past 10:30.
It's past my bedtime.
Yeah, it's just like some old man shit. And so I'm trying to do that more. We're going to talk a lot more about Boy Clothes. I know about that.
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I think that's kind of like the whole thing. Long-time listener, first-time caller is out. We've got a bunch more stuff coming out this year, and I hope y'all like it.
Hell yeah. All right. So moving on to the next part of the episode, we've both chosen 5 songs to feature by up-and-coming independent DIY, whatever label you want to do, bands that we just feel like deserve a bit more attention. We're going to go back and forth. I'll have the first song,
cool,
and we'll go back and forth, which is going to give you the closer. The first one that I want to feature, let me check my notes, is going to be by my friends in the band Tuck.
Cool.
So they're just like straight rock, basically. Cool. They're not emo, they're not punk, they're like straight like rock metal.
We love a rock band.
And from Green Bay, these guys, I went to college with a lot of them and interned at the production company that they all currently work at. And so this is from their upcoming album, which is called Confrontations, which comes out June 14th. So it'll be out by the time the episode comes out. But we're listening to it a little bit early.
Cool. Hell yeah.
And this is actually 2 songs because it's like an intro to the song and then the actual song. But it's The Duel, You Shot Me Down by Tuck.
Hell yeah.
today, 'cause you knew you probably could. You shot me through the door to save yourself from seeing all the gore. You shot me down again today. You shot me down today while you looked me in the eye. You swore you loved me, but I knew that was a lie. There's more to love than trust. You justified your lust and it makes me cuss. You shot me down again today. You shot me down today from a distance not too close. Hide it from your clients, keep them raising glasses for a toast. You shot me down with glee, your barrel smoking and you blamed it all on me. You shot me down again today. The bloody red baron's got some lessons left to learn. You make a season warfare, bury his guns inside, he won't return. You've learned to watch your back, you want it out, but it doesn't hide the fact that you shot me down again today. You shot me down today. I'm confident you know. It's too tough to testify from 6 feet down below. You shot me down, don't lie. You know you get away with it and won't pay until you die. You shot me down again. You shot me down again. You shot me down again today.
All right. So I have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Two things. In the beginning, I was like, okay, cool. This is a lick band,
Mm-hmm.
not a riff band.
Sure.
And I think that you can kind of tell like when a band is going to be a lick band versus like a riff band.
Okay.
And then there was a seamless transition of power to being a riff band.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, fun. They're doing a big riff, near the end. And okay, cool. Usually I think that there's like, you have to pick.
Okay.
I think that unless like you're doing good songwriting and then you can like manipulate all that kind of stuff, which they did, like that was that was so much fun.
Yeah, well, and that's the interesting thing too, is this is very much not their normal sound.
Interesting.
This is the end of the record, but it's like, to me, kind of like the most interesting because it's such a deviation.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of their stuff, it's really weird. It's another band that started as a solo project and then became a band later.
Cool.
So the first project is called The Story of Stereo City.
Great.
And very much, very Queen inspired.
Cool. Awesome.
A lot of like, all these crazy like harmonies, and like there's one song that literally has like the most Brian May guitar solo that Brian May never played. But then it's really interesting because they decided, because that was like a pandemic project type deal.
Cool.
And you and I have talked about this a whole lot about how pandemic projects have kind of become like
everyone's coming out with them now.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was really cool because all of these other guys, they all knew each other, all worked together, all that. And he was like, I want to start playing some shows and like gigging on this record. So we put together the band and they started like, practicing, playing some shows. I think they opened for Bad Flower when they came through Green Bay. So they've done like a couple bigger like opening shows like that. But then when it came time to write the second album, which is what this is off of, it very much changed the sound because it was more of a like collaborative effort. Mm-hmm. And while Andrew, who's the main, he's the vocalist and he's the guy who wrote the entire first record, is also to an extent into this, but he's very much into like the like classic rock and like very showy type stuff.
Cool.
But these other guys are a lot more into kind of like heavier music, like Gojira and Metallica.
Okay,
and
cool.
Like
that makes a lot of sense.
That kind of stuff. And so it's really interesting hearing this and hearing their footprint kind of being added to that, because there's a lot more like down-tuned guitars, a lot more like riffs. Mm-hmm. And like I think there's a blast beat in at least one song.
Yes.
But the thing that I find really cool too is all of these albums are very narrative.
Cool.
So the first one kind of has this like sets up the story of Stereo City, and then the opening song for this album actually kind of tells the story of how it started out as a one-man band, added more people, and
cool.
And, yeah,
literally a history of the band record.
Literally a history of the band, and it's super cool because like every song you can like kind of hear the influences. Like they've got a song, it was the first single that they released called I Only Smoke When I Drink, and
that's such a good name for a fucking song. I'm so mad.
It's so great.
I'm so mad.
And it's just straight 90s era Metallica, basically. They've got a couple other songs that are like, more inspired this way or the other way, but it's really cool seeing like how it's evolved. And they did a really cool thing at the beginning of last year where they were writing the songs, figuring them out, and they were going to do a live stream of basically all the songs on the record. And they were streaming on Twitch that they like just their practices and like writing sessions and stuff. So it's really cool to have seen the album evolve. Cool. Like all of these songs have been available to hear in some format for like a year on YouTube because they did that like live stream thing and archived it.
That's really, really fun to show like truly the evolution in the writing of the whole project.
Yeah,
that's fun.
No, it's super interesting. It's one of those things like, sometimes you'll see a band and like kind of watch them evolve, like you saw them from like, when they were a really small band and now they blew up and you're like, I'm so proud of them, even though you don't know them or whatever. But it's like, this is like next level for me because I do know these guys. And so it's like, watching that evolution is super cool.
Yeah, I love that. I think that that sound is really, really fun. It's like a Harder Murder by Def, and who I love. And it's not something I listen to all the time, so it's like it's nice just to hear like just good fucking rock and roll.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Like there's the subgenreification of music, especially like rock music.
Yeah.
Because you've got like, it's punk, it's emo, it's metalcore, it's hardcore, it's
every metal version.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes I just want to listen to some fucking rock and roll, man.
Yeah, I like it. That's fun. This makes a lot of sense. I think it fits, and it's so simple. And like, I bet people like fucking. I think people fuck with this like really well.
Yeah, I think that once this comes out, it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, that's hype.
So what do we have up next?
The next one is Boy Clothes, The Thought of Losing You.
Okay.
Their new song.
Want to give a little bit of introduction there?
Cool. So the first song I want to do is our homies Boy Clothes. The song's called The Thought of Losing You, and I've been hearing versions of this song for a little bit, and it's finally out. It used to be called Yucky, and now it's like The Thought of Losing You, and it's so
this
good.
Came out yesterday.
This came out fucking yesterday, and I listened to it a fuck ton, and it was. I think that if I wasn't in a band, this would be in like this is like my favorite outside of us. This is our favorite band.
Nice.
Boy Clothes is so good and so talented, and I'm so hyped for this thing that they're doing. I love it.
Let's check it out.
All right, hell yeah.
to you.
Okay, so I love this band. We've played the most shows together, them and OK Koala, and this new song is like, I love where they're going.
Yeah, it's super cool because it's like the riff is very basic but also like super catchy.
Like,
but there's also like a lot of other like little things going on sprinkled in that are
so
super
maximalist.
neat. Yeah.
It's so fucking maximalist, and it's like, listen, you can do, the 1, the 4, the 1, the 4, and then the the 6, 5, 4, like classics.
Yeah.
Classic fucking progression, and then just like shove it full of every counter melody. Like as you fucking can. And shout out Rose, who I know helped produce that song, Noah for writing it. Like, y'all are doing such the coolest fucking shit. I'm so happy to like know more bands in Nashville doing this thing.
Yeah, it's super interesting too. Like there's the one bit, and I can't tell if it's like a synth or like a tappy guitar part or something like that that's playing this like really cool, like it's not really like a melody, but it kind of acts as like a counter melody. Like it's not something you would sing.
It's like some
but it's
ooh-ahs.
like a great.
It's the same space in a mix for like ooh-ahs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's like you're putting it like on this like it's just there's some sonic quality of it that I'm like so gravitated to. It's so cool.
Well, I think what it is, because I've thought about this before with like my music a little bit too, is it's like sometimes you'll have like the guitar riff, you'll have the vocals, the bass, the drums, and it's like it feels like it's just missing something in that higher register, and so it's like you can kind of add like some backing vocals that are higher, you can add like a little like synth or tappy part like that, add like a pad, because oftentimes you kind of want that full frequency spectrum, and it can be hard to occupy that upper register without it like sounding like weird and piercing. So I think that that's what that's doing, and it works really well for it.
Like, sometimes when I listen to music, I like thinking about like the acoustic version of it, and so like the acoustic version of this, I feel like is like, I wouldn't like listen, play this song half the speed. Like if you're gonna play the acoustic version of this, just because I want it to be even more the opposite of this song.
Yeah.
Because this song is so 3D. There's just so much fucking shit happening, and like then adding a completely like new section of 16 bars, or I think it's full count of 16 at the end of the song.
It's kind of something completely different,
which is kind of completely different, and it's just like the balls to like literally just like keep the writing process going instead of just like hitting the last note and letting it ring out. Because guess what? We fucking do that and it's fine. Like letting let's get it. But like I'm so inspired by them to like just keep writing throughout the process like of let's add something completely new at the end of the song. Like, I think it's so cool.
It almost reminds me, like, just that idea, not necessarily how they execute it,
Yes.
but like that idea kind of reminds me of like how there's been a bigger trend in hip hop to do like beat switches, like at the end of a
Yes.
song, kind of like as an outro.
Yes,
and
100%.
I feel like this is kind of like the like emo rock version of that.
Yeah,
almost.
where it's like, listen, you like, yes, they stay in the same BPM. Actually, it might be even a little bit slower. But it's just like to actually change. They're pivoting in such a cool way to leave the song where it's like the door's shut or someone's shutting a window or something, and it just seems a little bit softer. And it's like, and it's actually interesting as it's called The Thought of Losing You. It's like you have almost lost them.
Yeah,
like
no,
in
okay,
kind of a
yeah.
way where it's like, listen, I've lost you a little bit, and I'm dealing with this, and that's why it's a little bit softer, and it's like this somber end. It's so bittersweet. That song is fucking amazing.
Do you know if this song is leading, if this is a single leading up to a full project, or if it's just a single?
I know that they are cooking.
Okay.
I know that they are fucking cooking, dude.
Because I know that a lot of the time, like, you have those outros and stuff like that, and it's kind of like to set up a transition on an album, like to the next song or something like that.
I hope they do it.
You guys do that a couple times on your record.
We
too,
try.
kind of transitioning.
It's really
between
hard to think about that kind of stuff. So I hope like they've literally loaded the bullet in the next chamber, and I just hope they like fucking run with it.
Yeah.
If they like just keep those chords going and then just do a completely new song that are just that
it'd be sick.
Keep going, dude. And like one of my favorite, talking to Will, if anyone's listened to Mollify, everyone needs to, because those are like some of my favorite transitions in the fucking world.
Oh, yeah, there's some great ones
There's
on
some
there.
great ones, and you have the best part about listening to that record is you kind of have no idea the record has started over in a way where like, when did it switch? Which is side A, which is side B? So I'm really like keeping cool transitions alive. I hope they do like something really, really cool with that.
Yeah, I think that's a great, just with the full album format, if you're going to do something like that, I think it's a great way to like build a little bit of like cohesion between like the entire project.
Yeah, completely agree.
All right, so my next tune is actually gonna be the new single from Florida band Virginity.
Yeah. I've seen them on Twitter. I keep forgetting to check them out, so I'm excited.
Yeah, so I actually got introduced to them through doing an episode with Ghost Town Remedy. They played a song of theirs on an episode that we did, and I thought it was really cool. And so they announced a few months ago that their new album Bad Jazz is coming out. I think it comes out...
That's such a good name for a record.
Right? Comes out on the 28th, so it'll be a couple days after this.
Cool.
Initially, I was thinking about choosing a different song from the album, but I realized that this would be coming out before the album, and I don't want to premiere their shit without asking them.
Totally.
but they sent me the pre-listen on SoundCloud, so I have heard the entire album. It's extremely good. Like,
does it feel fun?
Yeah, it's like power poppy type stuff.
Cool. Awesome.
So it's great.
I'm really excited to listen to this.
Super catchy. So this is the most recent and I believe final single from that record,
Okay, cool.
which is called Any Good Thing.
Okay, we were talking about this while I was playing. I had completely forgot who REM was for a second. Because I was like, what does this sound like? This sounds like the beginning of something.
Sounds like that one bald dude from the
guy. I was like,
90s.
it's not Moby. It's not the guy from President of the United States. Who is it?
Yeah.
And I just whispered, that's me in the corner. Who does that fucking song? And yeah, that sounded like REM, but I can't place his voice. It's got like Spin Doctors a little bit. This is so much fun. And a lot of people have been talking shit about this 90s things coming back. Give me fucking more of it.
Dude, I think it's great.
It's so cool.
Well, and it's very much like, you know, kind of the nostalgic thing, like what is it? That waves of nostalgia, like every 20 years or something like that.
It's a sine wave of everything, yeah.
Yeah, and so it's like we kind of like just got done with like the big 80s nostalgia wave.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we're kind of coming back to like that 90s nostalgia wave. And this is very much like, to me, this song specifically, a lot of the other tunes are a lot more like pop rock, power pop type stuff. But this very much feels kind of like a grungy type tune.
Yeah, it's a little darker and a little deeper. Like even like the content, the lyrical content.
Yeah,
like this is a sad fucking song.
Yeah,
and
I could
it's
talk
awesome.
myself out of almost any good thing.
Like that's really, really good. That's an incredible line.
It is.
I think that they're just doing. I like the REM David Bowie like guitar strumming where it's like you're almost picking it the whole time.
Yeah,
on like a clean guitar tone.
I was gonna say that
awesome.
that tone is like very like kind of like
cool.
That vintage nostalgic sort of sound. Like I don't feel like anybody's kind of using that type of clean tone.
Yeah,
a lot of the time it's like more like bright, like articulated, and this is like a bit darker.
I think that like the people that are doing this really, really well right now, I think it's Townies. Townies has a lot more clean tone that they let on.
Yeah.
And I'll be talking more about them later.
Dude, one of my favorite.
Like that record is so fucking good, and I'm really excited to listen to more Virginity. But what is the name? I'm losing the name of the band. It is Gun. Military Gun. Military Gun right now is also doing that as well. A really nice clean tone but it's like compressed really well or something. I don't know what they're doing in their mix because it sounds heavy, but it's a fucking clean like strat.
They're a really weird band when you think about it.
Yes.
Because it's like they very much run in like the punk hardcore circles.
Well,
they're touring with fucking punk bands and like hardcore bands and shit. But like a lot of their stuff is like a lot more catchy, kind of like poppy a little bit with like that clean tone like you were talking about.
So they did this interview where they were like, we hate the fact that we released this record after Turnstile did. And we were like, listen, I guess we're hardcore now. I guess this is what hardcore is.
Yeah.
And like he kind of gets bummed out about it because they wanted to they've been doing this thing for a lot longer. The 90s thing for a lot longer. Where like Turnstile like kind of dived into this weirdo, like I guess they put hardcore on the map. That's definitely, Turnstile hasn't changed really, but there's a new kind of pop hardcore thing happening.
They're like avant-garde hardcore almost.
Yeah.
Where it's like hardcore to me is like a lot of the time you think of like the sound of it.
Yeah.
And it's these ignorant ass riffs.
Totally.
It's just supposed to just beat you to a pulp
It's
in like
ooga-booga.
a minute and a half and then call it a day.
Yeah, dude.
And it's like this stuff is like way different, but it's also like kind of pulling on similar roots.
Yeah, I completely agree. Where it's like, I think with what Virginity's doing is they're pulling a similar route that a Military Gun is when it comes to their 90s background.
Yes.
And I think that it's really fun to trace those webs back to like their source, or like what we like to think their source is, where you can see now this weird through line between Virginity, Military Gun, and Turnstile. Like there's like where like you can see where like all these people like lean into certain things and what they touch on, and it's all this similar stuff. Where Virginity's vocal structure is this so cool, so clean.
Yeah.
Almost as clean as the guitar. And again, reminds me of David Bowie, reminds me of Spin Doctors, reminds me of REM. And it's just so much fun. And it's still mixed really, really well. And I don't know. I'm not sure. Like, I can't wait to like listen to the whole fucking record.
Dude, it's so good.
That's the first time I listened to him. And I'm so excited to listen to them on the way home.
So you've got to check out their what was the name of the album? Though I think it's the last one. It's the one with like a little kid on the cover. With Time.
With Time? Okay, cool.
Yeah, that is super good.
Okay, cool.
The song History Worth Repeating is probably my favorite song of theirs.
Okay, cool.
It's less than 2 minutes. It's so good.
I love it.
But I want to go back to the point that you made about kind of like that 90s through line.
Yeah.
Because I think it's really weird, and I think that this is very much an aspect of like the internet and kind of like globalization in a way, is that it's really weird that these are like kind of the three bands that are like the most similar that you can think of that are doing that, but they aren't from the same scene.
Yeah, they're in completely different scenes, 100%.
Because like listening to this makes me very much think like Seattle type shit. But they're from Florida,
which is so weird.
Like Florida, I think of way more like upbeat, like fun, peppy shit. And I think it's really interesting how we've moved farther away from each region having their own sound. Like it still exists, but I feel like less so.
I think it's because you have access to everything.
Yeah, I think
And
it's because of the internet.
I think literally because of the internet, you now don't have to make music that you're like geo-fenced into.
Yeah.
Where it's like, listen, I'm not just stuck in Florida. I'm not just stuck in Nashville making Nashville music. I can hear all this music from everywhere else and be inspired by it.
Exactly.
And I think it's really, really cool that like it is officially like there's no segregation like geo-musically. Not geopolitically. I'm going to use the word geo-musically.
Geo-musically.
I
Okay.
think that it's really, really important to understand that, like, yes, there are old vibes of certain kinds of things. And, like, let's say Nashville Emo. Nashville Emo has, it's very, very inspired by, like, everywhere else. And, like, New Philly Emo is probably inspired by, like, legends of that area.
Yeah.
Seattle Emo, it's the same thing. But, like, everyone is starting to get, like, everything is starting to get completely mixed around.
Little bits from here, little bits from there, yeah.
Like, when I hear, hey, this is an Atlanta band, I'm like, I don't know. I have to hear it first, and then I'll be able to know what it's like. Because I don't assume anymore what things are going to sound like. Because I can't do that anymore because everyone can hear anything else now. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, exactly. Because it's like you'll hear a band and be like, ooh, that kind of sounds like Seattle. That kind of sounds like,
and then you find out where they're from afterwards.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, they're from Arkansas. Okay, sure.
Shout out Arkansas. I haven't heard a band from you yet, but I can't wait.
That'll be my homework is to find one. So what do we have up next?
Okay, the next song we have is Callie Cousins, No Rain, No Flowers.
Okay.
Yeah, these shout out Callie Cousins. California Cousins, dog. California Cousins. I swear to
Yeah,
God,
man.
they're so cool. Their new record, their new double. They call it the double EP, the first double EP of all time.
Okay.
It's incredible. It reminds me of just like I've never heard anything like it. I think it's so much fun. They had posted a thing about one of their inspirations being Hum, and that is like the secret inspiration for me. That is like the first band I ever loved was Hum, and so whenever you hear a band saying they love Hum and they put their vocals a little bit behind the mix,
Yeah.
that's a Hum thing.
It's interesting because like that makes sense, but it's also kind of like, to me, like a metal thing a little bit
totally.
too. And that was like it was a really weird thing when I first started mixing more like poppy quote unquote music, because I was so used to like a lot of the music that I listened to having the vocals kind of tucked back in the mix, almost as like the way that I think about it is like that type of vocal is like the vocalist is part of the band.
Yeah.
As opposed to like a more pop mix where there's the band and then there's the singer.
Yeah, well, like you've done mixing and producing stuff where you see a mixer sign and the vocal is the money symbol, right? Yeah. So it's like that's the money mic. So that person is separate than everyone else.
I think that that's really interesting. But like, I love that guitar tone so much. We were talking about that. That's kind of like the military gun guitar tone that we were talking about.
I don't know what y'all are doing, but it's fucking cool.
I really don't, because that's something that I've always had an issue with, is trying to find how to get like a cool sounding, clean tone that also has like a little bit of bite that isn't like too bitey.
Yeah, I think it's about also like, I think actually that's really, really interesting. I wonder if you're thinking about like the song structure writing wise, like what comes first? Do you think tone first for the song, or do you think like while you're writing it on like an acoustic and then you're thinking about it afterwards? Like I think that's a weird thing because like it works really well for their song structure as well.
Yeah, well, and I think that that's interesting. That's kind of like something that I've always thought about in terms of like songwriting. Is a song is truly great if you can strip it back to its most basic elements and like sing it and play it on an acoustic guitar or a piano or something like that. And I feel like a lot of people start writing songs that way, but you know, there's also like you can start with like a riff or you know, any of those sorts of things.
I want to know how they picked it because whatever they're doing, it's just this. It's so cool.
Yeah.
I think that on a structure on itself, I think that it's so much fun to hear like something that sounds new. I want to know who they're inspired by because if I want to know like if you've ever listened to Hum, you can kind of hear it. Hum never really plays that fast. Hum is a really drony. I would say like Hum is like, especially from like the record You'd Prefer an Astronaut, there's maybe some higher BPM stuff, but it's fucking thick guitars. It's like the thickest shit in the planet. And Matt Talbot, the vocalist, is like singing about the weirdest shit and just in the background. And then if you listen to Inlet, it's just like an even thicker thing. So I would love to know more about like where they got their, you know, I think that's actually a sign of a good band too, where I'm like, where'd they fucking come from? How are they doing this? Where'd you get the idea to do that? Like, I think that they're doing such cool stuff. Like, we're going to listen to Topiary Creatures here in a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't wait to like just talk about them because it's just like I've never heard anything like it. And so when you asked me to pick my songs, I wanted to pick stuff that's like all of it's a little different, a couple Nashville things, and just stuff that I've never heard stuff like this before. Yeah.
I also really like in this song the like kind of like middle.
Yeah, this little middle section where he's just kind of talking.
Yeah, just kind of it's like a party section almost where it's like it sounds so hype. And like I can't wait to listen to that part again. Because I thought that it was really interesting, and I feel like that part would go off live. Like
I think
crazy.
that everyone's gonna fucking sing that part at the show. Just the no rain, no flowers, and no one's gonna sing it. Everyone's gonna fucking say this thing.
Yeah,
and it's like this little like chant about like hating your fucking job, and it's so hype. I love it.
Yeah, I think that this song is great. I also want to bring up, because we were joking about it, we were like, Callie Cousins, where are they from? They're from Rochester, New York. We were like, it'd be so funny if they weren't from California.
I love California Cousins so much, and you know what? Shout out. Maybe that makes sense why they do the Cousins thing because of Carpool, because they are like the most New York band of all time.
Oh yeah. So my next tune is one that got submitted directly to me through my email. If anybody watching this is interested in submitting music to potentially have featured on an episode, freshfindspod@gmail.com.
Hell yeah.
So this one, they sent me this first single, and then they sent me the full album as well, which actually came out today.
Okay, cool.
And this is by a band. Where are they from? They're from Philly.
Okay, cool.
They're like a pop rock type band.
Okay, killer.
It's named after the lead vocalist. I am so sorry. I'm probably gonna butcher your name. Fataday Corngore.
This is as a DM in D&D. I'm just gonna write that down because that's a great name.
Yeah. So I really hope that I didn't butcher that name, but if I did, I'm extremely sorry. But this was the one and only single leading up to this album, which is called Growing Pains, but the actual song is called Pinky Ring.
Leave me in the dark when you swore you'd always be there. I guess always was a lie. If you ever meant it at all. You swore by your pinky ring that we'd always be a thing. But you went and turned your back on me. Turned your back on me. Ghost me like a Casper. Should've known there'd be disaster. Take back your stupid pinky ring. Take it back now. Find me moving on to someone that won't steal my air. The spark of us has gone. And I wonder if it ever was there. You swore by your pinky ring that we'd always be a thing. But you went and turned your back on me. Turned your back on me. Cursed me like a Casper. Should've known there'd be disaster. Take back your stupid pinky ring. Did you ever care at all? 'Cause I don't think you did. All those stupid words, I'm just so over it. Did you ever care at all? 'Cause I don't think you did. All those stupid words, I'm just so over it. You swore by your pinky ring that we'd always be a thing. But you went and turned your back on me. You turned your back on me. Pushed me like a Casper. Should've known there'd be disaster. Take back your stupid pinky ring. Take it back now.
It's been a long time since I've like listened to something that I thoroughly, truly enjoy. That's like done. And listen, as a guitarist, I've been playing guitar since I was like 12.
Okay, yeah, right on.
What are the names of the chords where you're just using like the main little like at the bottom of the neck?
Cowboy chords.
The cowboy
Yeah.
chords. Okay, cool. So these I haven't
Root
heard
position
Yeah,
chords.
these.
Yeah.
So hearing cowboy chords like in this,
Yeah.
this is awesome. Like hearing the D that they're playing, where like you're hearing like this is like you feel like that's one of the first chords you learn when you're like younger.
Yeah.
And like this is such a Breakfast at Tiffany's 90s thing.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. Also, structure wise, this is a great fucking pop song.
No, it's literally like a perfect pop song structure.
Yeah, this should be they should get this synced.
Oh my god, yes.
They should go and like shout out fucking Fataday. You guys need to get this. You need to go on sync right now. You need to like you could get on Netflix shows like immediately.
Commercials, like anything.
You're making like the perfect shit for this stuff. It's so cool.
Well, and this is like the perfect time of year for this to drop too. Because it's
So
like the summariest like sounding thing.
Oh my God.
Like if the song popped off,
Yeah.
then it's so easy because it is the cowboy chords
Yes.
or campfire chords.
Yes.
Is the other you
I
could
like that,
you could just pull out a guitar and play it around the campfire if you're like just jamming with some people or something like that.
There's something about listening to those chords where like you start seeing like the hand structure and you're like, okay, cool. Like I'm listening to it right now. I'm like, okay, cool. I know how to play this.
Yeah.
Because like you already kind of know how everything is structured. And then you remember that like it's all songs are so similar but when you use those chords, because no one does that anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's so much fun to like see people taking, I don't know, it's again in 1997. That's just what this sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got like the Notebook vibes. It's got like something with Mandy Moore in it. Like this has got like the perfect summer rom-com. This is perfect rom-com music, and I'm obsessed.
Oh my God, yes.
It's so good. It's literally called Pinky Ring because I
Yep.
thought we were. Is the chorus? Something about pinky rings and wanted to be a thing.
Promised on your pinky ring that we'd always be a thing.
Yeah, dude, it's so good.
Something like that.
Like it's that's so good, and it's so like it's pink, poppy, like it's pastel. It's like it's dandelions, man.
Yeah.
It's like it's so summer. It's the perfect. This released in April. If I saw that correctly.
Yeah, this released in April, and then the
Cool.
album released end of May.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
It's perfect. This is like the little
perfect time to release it.
It's also like pontoon season
Yeah.
music.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this is so great. I love it. It's such a ray of sunshine.
Exactly. The other thing that I love about it too is the fact that it's such a simple pop song.
Yeah.
But there's so much if you want to dig into it. There's so many
Musicality. Yeah,
Yes.
musicality. It was fucking. It changes a couple of times, and it's
so many
much
great
fun.
layers and stuff like that. There's little just like simple guitar parts. Like there's one that just goes like just like the most basic thing, but because you layer it on with everything else, or like the hand drums,
hand drum,
like the auxiliary
his
percussion.
vocal line. There's a part where at the end where he does like he trails off and goes really high, and just the way he does that. I'm like piano wise whenever I see a vocal structure, I always think about it as like a notes on the piano, and like going up and doing that towards the end was just like it's just the perfect time to do it. The notes he hit were perfect. It's just I don't think that like that song's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like it's completely flawless. It knows it has no identity issues.
Yeah.
Like it knows exactly what it's doing.
Knows exactly what it's doing and does it great.
Yes, it's perfect.
Absolutely. All right. So what do we have coming up next?
The next song that we're going to do is Vonnegut by Bummer Hill.
Okay.
Bummer Hill, I Love You.
This album came out, what, like a month ago?
May
Something
10th.
like that? Okay, yeah.
Came out May 10th. We played a show with them, and I actually blew up my voice before I played because I was singing along too much. I know every word of this fucking record, and it is, for me, like, I'm going to have a really hard time doing albums of the year because right now it's Bummer Hill, Townies, and who we'll talk about three of the bands that are listed here are all from my favorite records of the year, and Topiary Creatures.
Yeah. I only listened to this album once so far, I think, but if I remember, I liked it a lot. So
It's so cool.
Let's give this a spin.
Take a breath. So much time has passed and yet no time at all. Fake your death and start again. Don't take that fall. Every time you realize it's not your fault, I don't wanna say goodbye to you. Life is gonna catch up to you and you'll be a different person, taken after you confident. My face is changing by the day. Despite it all, I'll be okay. You're better off alone. Just take a breath. Don't forget, you're never on your own. Can't get outside my head. Feels like I've got stuck in time. Like I'm a character you wrote, but where I am, you can't decide. Feels like I've seen this place before, but grew up different set of eyes. Feels like this life just isn't mine. I won't ever be yours.
Dude, I forgot about the transition into the next song.
Dude.
That's probably why I thought we were talking about it.
That it was just one song?
I was like, is this the song with the ska break? Probably because I thought that it was the same song because it transitioned so well.
Shout out fucking Bummer Hill for like, I think it's 7 songs.
Yeah.
And it is, everyone needs to listen to Far Removed just in general. That's how the record opens. It's my favorite opening this year. It's perfect. It's this 1424 that they just keep transitioning to faster versions of it.
Yeah.
And it's just so much fun. And they have this motif throughout the whole record about breath. And it's so smart. Some of the best songwriting I've heard. I'm fully obsessed.
It takes you on such a journey,
It's
too,
such
man.
a journey, dude. The fills are perfect. I think that they're going to be huge. I think they should be huge. They deserve it.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I only listened to this record like once or twice, I think, before this, but like I thoroughly enjoyed all of it. And it really is super cool what they're doing with like song structure and stuff like that, because it is like, if you just listen to the riffs on their own, it's extremely simple.
Yeah.
But it's like the way that you put it together and the way that you structure it is what makes it really, really interesting.
It's so dynamic at points where they do this thing where they're completely fucking with you.
Yeah.
Where like in this song specifically, where they have these cute little almost Cuban versions of the 1525 or 1424, and it's cute almost, and it's adorable, and you're like, oh my god, is this like, I'm gonna start like, I don't understand. I'm so okay with them fucking with me.
Yeah.
Because they just turn around and they just make the same thing just heavier, and it's just so much fun to sing along to. Homie's voice is just like, I think that you're one of the best singers out right now. Your vocal tone is flawless. I don't know. I could keep going for so long on how much I just truly love Bummer Hill.
Well, the thing that I think is really interesting too, I didn't even realize that's only a 3-minute song.
And there's like 6 different parts.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really cool how you're able to fit so much stuff into that.
It's like a pacing of like a James Bond movie. Like the best James Bond movies are like, you've gone to like 10 places and it felt like a 4-hour movie, but it was only for 2 hours.
Yeah.
Like this song feels like 5.5 minutes, and it's less than you would ever expect.
Yeah, no, I think that it's really interesting. The song structure is obviously great. And like the little bit too where it like goes into 3 for a little while too. I've said this a ton of times, but I think it's really cool how a lot of musicians are starting to play with not only song structure, but also playing with the timing and like doing stuff in like different time signatures, different tempos.
Yeah.
And like all this stuff just makes for were like, it's like everybody's trying to make pop music, but we all were like raised on like progressive shit.
Yeah, it's like I think a lot of us are old choir kids, and a lot of us are old band kids that we had to learn those things.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's like, you know, in the 2000s or in the 2010s, God, everyone that was then. I think I might be the oldest one in DIY. But in the 2000s, like when I was in band and choir and like learning shit in 5/8 and doing this and being in piano and like, you know, listening. I mean, there wasn't a lot of like, I guess it maybe in metal and stuff like that in the late 2000s where they did a bunch of weird stuff like Between the Buried and Me and like, you know, learning those kind of things. But like being inspired and decided to write and things like that, I would love to know more from those bands. Like, okay, why did you want to do this 2/4 randomly right here?
Yeah.
Like, why did you decide to do this in 7/8? Like, it's so cool.
I think it's also like some stuff is kind of like randomly subconscious too.
Sure.
Where it's like you think about something and you just play how something feels
yeah,
right.
you're unlocking it.
And then you realize when you go into the studio and you try and play it to a click for the first time, and you're like, what the fuck? Why can't I figure this out?
Oh my God. And then designing the actual DAW to like be like, oh, cool, okay, it's 5 bars of 7/8 and then a bar of 5/8. So you have to design this in your DAW and then it's clicking that exactly right.
Yeah. It's really funny when you like realize like, oh, I thought that I was playing this in 4/4, but it turns out it's like 4/4 with like a bar of 6/4 and like, you know. So, like,
no, I think that strictly Bummer Hill, whatever they do next they'll be playing anthems. They'll be playing arenas like shortly. I think that they could be like the next big band. Mm-hmm. Truly, just from this record alone.
So my next song is from another Nashville band. I don't know if they've always been Nashville based or if they're Nashville based now. I think they might have moved. But band Winona Fighter, who I'm sure you're familiar with.
So Winona, I love them. They've been doing so. I think that they're still here. They are like, I know so much about them just because they're like Nashville, like the new Nashville hero.
Yeah,
like they just got signed to Rise, right?
Yeah.
So they are. I think that they're all traveling all the time now because they're blowing up.
Makes a lot of sense.
They go to LA. They go to and they've been involved with the scene for so long. Their bassist is, I think, the secret thing, which is that homie is the one that produced it.
Okay,
it's Coco's husband that is the bassist, and he's involved with lots of like the secret Nashville shit.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, that's one of the things that I found really interesting because they blew up on TikTok with the song "Hams in a Glass" last year. Like that, the videos that they made for that just did numbers, and that song absolutely like skyrocketed.
Yes.
But I think it's really interesting, and you don't have as many bands that do this anymore, I feel like, which is that they had been an active band for a really long time. And had been playing, and I think it's really interesting. You don't see that as much. I think mostly because of the rise of recording technology being so available. But you see a lot of bands that start releasing singles and EPs and stuff like that before they really like make a name for themselves in the local scene and start like playing live a lot and that sort of thing. And it might also be the whole like being a songwriter and not having a band yet. That sort of aspect of things too.
I think that's what happened because they were all involved in music. I remember that it's Coco's original account used to just be her name on Instagram, and she changed it personally to Winona Fighter.
Oh, interesting.
And so if I remember that correctly, again, when you're in Nashville, it's a small fucking city, so everyone follows everybody.
Yeah.
Now, she has been basically playing, she did like she was playing Nashville fucking Broadway. She was doing vocal stuff. She was like, you know, she's the alt girl. During those in those bands, and she has an incredible voice, and so she was doing like all this late night stuff, and then also turning around and like hustling during the day. So like that whole band has been doing stuff in Nashville. I'm not sure if Winona Fighter was this thing for so long, rather than they really met all the right people
at the right time,
and then had all this stuff, and then TikTok was the final like Secret X Powerpuff thing.
The
Like
final piece of the puzzle.
Exactly. They're just incredible online presence, and she is just so funny.
Yeah, so this is their new song Subaru, which is
Their
actually
old
not
song.
a
This
new
their
song.
old song, Subaru.
Because that's the funny thing. It's actually from their original EP, Father Figure from 2022. But now they're like releasing it again as a single, leading up to what I assume is going to be a full length album.
It's like me doing and no thanks again.
Yeah, exactly. Which was part of why I thought that
This is funny. I knew you were gonna. When you brought this up, I was like, he's gonna do a fucking no thanks. They're redoing Subaru,
Yeah.
and this song rules. Like,
It's great.
This is my favorite from the original EP.
I think it was. I think I liked "You Look Like a Drunk Phoebe Bridgers" better.
Yes.
But like that entire EP was great. Hams in a Glass, obviously great. And then now they're redoing this song for what I assume is going to be a debut full-length album.
Yeah.
Which I'm super stoked for
Yeah.
because everything that they've dropped has been so
It's just
fucking good.
Heat after heat.
Yes. So let's give this a spin, man.
Hell yeah, let's rip it.
Wheels on my Subaru might be giving out soon. Headed from the East Coast, that I never leave alone. But I don't wanna wait for you. How do I get better? No stress, gotta get up out of here. I gotta get out all night. I'm thinking head west, gotta take it out of here. I gotta get out. Holes in my pockets, no money in my wallet. Hand-me-down Subaru, it's enough to get me through. And I don't wanna wait for you. How do I get better? No stress, gotta get up out of here. I gotta get out all night. I'm thinking head west, gotta take it out of here. I gotta get out. How do I get better? No stress, gotta get up out of here. I gotta get out all night. I'm thinking head west, gotta take it out of here. I gotta get out.
I think that the mix is different.
I
But
think
the
it's same
recording
stems.
is the same.
Same
yeah.
stems.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that bassist is. I think he's been blowing up on a production level. He's involved with a
awesome.
bunch of record labels, and so he probably just did a remix of it.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah.
'Cause we went back and listened to the original version and this version. It's almost definitely the same recordings. I think it's just a different mix.
It's really cool
But-
though because I think it's a little bit punchier, and I think that with the inspiration of signing to Rise Records, I think that homie was feeling it and decided to go to do a couple lower luffs.
Well, it's really funny because I know that like I did that with Driftin' too, where there's two versions of it. There's the version that's on the Changes EP, and then there's the version that I released like as a single when I first came out with it.
I mean, shit. How many versions of Exit has there been for us? Like, I think that that was
when Nick first brought that to my attention, I was like mind blown because it's like it's all like very subtle changes, but it's like it is enough that if you listen to them back to back, you're like, oh yeah, the compression is like slightly different here.
It's like it's also like different tones that we've been trying to do. Like when you are re-releasing a song, it has to be pretty close, and you should try to be pretty close.
Yeah,
but except for us, where we were like, the original version of this was like, I mean, when it comes to Subaru, that song is like that's the first song that when I connected with them on TikTok, I saw them and I was like, oh, holy shit, this is great.
Yeah.
They're like the new Nashville like Paramore. They're fucking awesome.
Yeah. The videos that I've seen, I haven't gotten to see them live. I assume
No,
you haven't.
No.
Okay.
So like from the get-go, they didn't play. They probably played a lot of local shows. I think they played maybe a couple.
Okay.
But like they blew up that quick. Where they were like
Damn.
they were immediately like on. They played with like Incubus. And they've played with Taking Back Sunday already. Like,
wow, that's wild.
They've gone. They started kind of touring immediately.
Yeah,
I think they have a bunch of connections like with booking and stuff.
Okay.
Where they started just like immediate. Like they released Father Figure,
hit the ground running,
and just hit it. And
nice.
Gainesville, I know that they were all about. They were basically inducted into Fest like immediately.
I was gonna say because I know that I thought I saw them play like maybe it was Fest, maybe it was like Bonnaroo or something like that.
It's something in Gainesville.
Yeah.
But they've been doing a bunch of like, you know, these are not like, these are people that have worked their asses off and pulled back the slingshot before the EP.
Yeah.
So like, you know, I think a lot of EP is part of pulling the slingshot back for a lot of bands.
Oh yeah.
Where like you release the EP and that's the first pull of the slingshot.
Yeah.
Before they ever released any music, this slingshot was already pulled back.
But I think that that's also the unique thing of having been in the industry for so long in different roles.
They had fucking everybody. They knew everyone. Like they're all incredibly talented.
Yeah, exactly. Like most people, you release your first EP, it's like we just became a band. We just started writing songs together. Whereas like, you know, this is more like we've all been doing this shit for like, you know, probably close to a decade or something like that.
They're all so incredible, and they've all been involved with so many different things, session-wise. I just think that, you know, they are part of like a Nashville DIY-ness, but it came from a different angle, which is it came from being almost when you do work on Broadway, you are almost a session artist, but for the bar.
Yeah.
And so these people have been session artists and also like in recordings and stuff. They've worked in like this industry and did hard shit.
Yeah.
Being able, in order to play downtown, if you want to in downtown on Broadway, you have to know like from this list of 100 songs, and you have to nail it. Like, and like you have to be able to play one of these 100 songs at any given moment, which I think is fucking insane. But when you have so many talented guitarists, you have to set the bar pretty high.
Well, and that's the thing. I think that's one of the weird and also like unique things about like the culture of Nashville.
Yeah.
Is there's that aspect of like, I mean, you're to the point where like a lot of it's kind of, you know, country stuff and like that sort of deal. But it's like Nashville almost has its own repertoire, its own like what's the jazz, the real book or whatever with jazz, where it's like all of these songs that if you're going to be a professional jazz musician, you're basically just expected to know these songs off
you start
rip.
there.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like that's kind of like if you're going to be trying to, as opposed to being a band that's from Nashville.
Yes.
If you're trying to be a Nashville musician,
yes,
that is your real book.
Yeah, you have to start at like these 100 fucking songs.
Yeah.
And once you have those 100 songs like memorized, once you have like this massive amount memorized, that's where you are now level 1.
Yeah.
In Nashville. And it's like never go to fucking karaoke in Nashville. Ever. Never. Some 80-year-old is going to come out and do a Johnny Cash that will blow you out of the water. Like it's just, I came from Chicago. I do a pretty good I Don't Want to Miss a Thing by Aerosmith. And I came and I did
Is that
Nashville.
your go-to karaoke song?
That's my go-to karaoke song.
I like it.
And I was blown away by people that are just like people that live here.
Yeah.
They just happen to sing incredible. It's a Winona Fighter. First of all, incredible name.
Yes.
We talk a lot on DIY about the concept of like up next. I think that broadly in pop and pop rock, I think they are up next.
Yeah, I don't think that it's limited. Like a lot of people, it's like, oh, they're next up, but probably not necessarily like in the grand scheme of things. It's like in DIY, they're going to be the next big thing, but it's like
like DIY, there's like up next, but it's like a floor in a building. So like there's DIY as like the first 3 floors of a building, and then like to get out of that is like you're finally getting radio play, and they're getting radio play, and they're about to do like they're not like the LP that they're going to release is probably going to take them. They're next in that level.
Yeah, they're going to be playing like fests that like regular people would go to.
They're music videos. Like if MTV was like still a thing, they'd be all over MTV right now.
I'm sure they probably get played on like Octane or something like that.
Totally.
Like Sirius XM.
Yes, they probably have access to all that stuff, and I think that
then the Rise Records aspect of it too. I mean, as soon as you get put on like a big ass label like that, like something's gonna happen.
And like that was a couple years ago, my wife and I were talking about it. We were like, okay, cool, that's them. In Nashville, you can kind of tell when that's gonna happen, and they have the right mix between pop and rock and this grungy thing, girl fronted. Like it's totally the right ingredients for like this thing to explode.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it too, because like I mentioned the Rise Records thing, but it's like there's also so many acts being signed to bigger record labels based on TikTok success.
Totally.
And the record labels as a whole are having so much trouble with longevity of their artists because they're signing people who have a viral moment on TikTok
and
it's over by the time the contracts are signed.
Exactly.
And then they're trying to get it to happen again, and that's just not how the internet works.
Nope.
And that's the great thing about Winona Fighter, and I would say also like Dury as well.
Yeah, totally.
If you're gonna go with like, you know, artists that blew up on TikTok
and that are doing more than just their viral moment
is that they had a viral moment, they had a great idea, but there's also just great music behind it as well. It's not like, oh, I wrote one good hook, it went viral, and then, you know, whatever.
Yeah, shout out Winona Fighter and Dury for like breaking through. It's so sick, especially homies from Nashville. That's so sick.
Yeah, it's great.
All right,
so what do we have up next?
The next song that I have, we're gonna listen to Topiary Creatures. All right. Yeah, you guys are. This is. We're gonna do Snakes in the Wall. This song again. There's 3 bands we're gonna talk to about that I'm gonna gush over, and no one will know which one I like more because I don't know. I don't know yet. I'll find out when I do my album of the year list.
3, but we're tied.
We're all fucking tied. They're all so interesting. But yeah, here's Snakes in the Wall by Topiary Creatures.
All right.
Sure.
It's so good. There's nothing. Talk about letting a band just do whatever they want. Like, give them the whole palette, give them the whole, all the colors, give them, it's just, and that's the true maximalist. Those are the homies.
And that was the thing, is we were talking about earlier, kind of like bands being inspired by more like avant-garde, just like maximalist, progressive shit. This is like the natural like conclusion of that in DIY, where it's like it just takes all of these things that are very well seen as like these are like DIY types of sounds in terms of like the guitar tones and like the bass and like all that, but it's also like it's just so progressive with the song structure and like just all this craziness.
There's so much good lyrical content, and something that so I got the chance to interview the lead singer, and he told me that he had written all these poems first, and this was the first one he wrote, and it was going to be a book.
Oh, yeah, I remember listening to that. Yeah.
So all of this stuff is just poems turned into song.
Which is a really weird way to do it.
That's so fucking cool, because nothing rhymes.
Yeah.
It's all just things that sound good.
Yeah.
Like, it's just these great, I don't know. I don't when I'm writing a song, I'm thinking about A, B, A, C, A, B, A, C again. Like, it's like, I'm thinking about
your
all
rhyme
this,
schemes and
just,
stuff.
It's like, I've never been more inspired to just like free write and then put that to music.
Yeah.
Like, I think that on its structure itself, there's this really hard part in there in the middle of the chorus where it like drops down and you hear those chuggy guitars, and then there's synths again.
Yeah.
And it's just, it's hitting me with like every spectrum of like what I like in music. And it's still high BPM. It's still very, very like, it's not all over the place. It is completely in control.
Yes.
Every aspect of it is completely in control, including the bass line in the beginning that's fucking Jefferson Airplane-esque. And there's all this, everything is just so cool. And the way that they explain this is there's sparkly maximalist punk.
Yeah.
And that is exactly what it is. And I'm so proud to like know them, because I think this record is something truly special.
Oh, 100%. It's so unique in a way that a lot of things aren't. And I think I like what you said there about it being not being all over the place, but being extremely in control.
Yes.
It's one of the things where, as a listener, you go, "This is fucking nuts."
Yeah.
But you can tell that as a band, everything is so calculated.
Yeah.
It's all like
every note, every little sound.
Yeah, and it's like the way that they put that together so that it sounds kind of like chaos, but also like in control is wild.
Here's a band that's like coming on the other side of the coin with the chaos, but it feels like it is in control, but it sounds like it's not.
Okay.
I'm listening to like Oolong.
Okay, yeah.
Listen to Oolong. It's just, it feels a little like haberdash, like it's almost like slapped together sometimes, but you know that those guys are like, that's what they want.
Uh-huh.
And like they wanted it to be like this fucking twinkly, like loud guitars that just kind of feel like they're spaghetti. Like it's.
I didn't get it at first when I listened to them. It was like that I hadn't heard of them before the new album dropped.
Yeah,
like a month and a half ago, something like that.
Like,
and the first time I listened to it, I was like, "What the hell is going on?"
Like if you listen to Oolong and you listen to like Ogbert the Nerd,
it's
like that was like this. Let's play interesting tone guitars where it's a little bit cleaner, and let's scream over shit. And it feels like and it was like a brand new thing.
Yeah.
And they both kind of like, I think they are both New York. I think it's like
that sounds right. Yeah.
So if New York punk was like super weird in 2001, 2002, when like with like Interpol, the two bands that I would say that was like spearheaded like this new twinkly fucking thing that's happening, is Ogbert the Nerd and Oolong from back in the day.
Sure.
And it's been a really, really like I want to see who Topiary Creatures are going to inspire, like because I think that I talking to them and who their inspirations are, it doesn't sound like them. They're combining a bunch of different stuff to be this new thing.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see like who's 5 years from now. Oh yeah, that Topiary Creatures record, I listened to a lot, and so I made this.
Yeah.
I want to see what people take from this because there's so much to take.
I also think it's interesting, kind of like what you were talking about. I feel like also kind of like the other side of the coin, parallel to this is like, I feel like this is the punk version of what Glass Beach is doing with emo.
Totally.
Where it's these song structures and like these like very like poignant lyrics that are less lyrics and more poetry, observations, that sort of thing. And I feel like they are very much like in the same conversation, but like they do it completely different.
It's like the same ingredients, but one's baked differently.
Yeah.
they're cooked differently. And like they have like they're two similar dishes in ingredients, but it's like one's for fucking lunch and one's for dessert.
Yeah.
Like it's really, really interesting to see like what everyone's been doing with this kind of thing. It's so cool.
It's wild. So my final song of the morning, I guess I was going to say afternoon. It's still morning time. Is a Detroit band, a blackened doom metal band that I found, and it's really interesting. I don't know. Have you ever like just browsed for music on Bandcamp?
I have not. I strictly use Twitter for like finding new music.
Okay.
I feel like that the people that I follow, I'm following enough people to bring more of those people to me.
Okay,
or
sure.
like, you know, again, following Will from Full Meltdown, like following Camp Trash and Franzia. Shout out Keegan, like one of the best people on Twitter who's always showing like the best shit. That's how I heard about Taking Meds.
Yep.
And another great 90s band. Who found Liquid Mike and like, so like, you know, I'm following all the right people in order to find all the best new music. Right now.
Sure.
But I should do it. You know, now I've taken enough time with Bandcamp, I should like actually explore it and use it as its purpose.
They have a really cool tool because like I think that most people when they go to Bandcamp they think of it as like, I know this band, I want to go to Bandcamp.
And you direct to that page.
I want to go to Bandcamp as a way to buy their music or buy their merch or whatever to support them because, you know, they're the platform that pays artists, you know, the best for their stuff.
Yeah.
Which more or less so now, like since they got bought out.
We just don't know what they're doing.
That's neither here nor there. But they have this great tool if you scroll down to like the bottom of the homepage, which is weird because it's so buried. Like nobody would ever scroll down that far. But it's a great like browsing tool where you can be like, I want this genre. And you can even browse by location.
Cool.
So you can be like, I want metal. It goes, what kind of metal do you want? Do you want death metal? Do you want some thrash?
Oh, they're doing a tagging system and then shuffling.
And then you can filter by like location. You can filter by most popular or newest releases. And so I was like, I want to find some more Detroit metal bands. So I just went in there. I just put in metal Detroit. Filter by new.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and so I found this band called Temple of the Fuzz Witch.
Okay, that's some D&D ass shit, dude. That's so cool.
So this is from their new album that came out beginning of April called Apotheosis.
Okay, cool.
And this song is called Bow Down. Like I said,
all of this stuff sounds like all like exactly what it's supposed to like. I would have an album called Apotheosis for a doom metal band.
For a black and doom metal band.
Holy shit.
All right.
So I love. It's been a long time since I listened to Mastodon.
Okay.
And that's what that reminded me of. It made
No,
me
totally.
it made me miss Mastodon. It made me miss like
Kind of like that sludge metal type
yeah,
of thing.
like that stoner metal thing. Like it also made me miss Death Heaven with his vocal, and it makes me want to re-listen to Sunbather.
That's that black metal influence.
That black metal influence with like the post-rock blast beat thing, like it's so cool. And like I think that pop music, I think that is the pop music of like metal.
Yeah.
Like I think everyone loves blues chords in metal music, and I think everyone will like it.
That's one of the things that I find really interesting is like metal as a genre is very strange because of how splintered and fractioned off it has become.
Yeah, totally.
And like we were talking about the rise in like micro genres of music, the subgenreification of stuff.
The gatekeepy bullshit.
And it's like, to an extent I understand.
Yeah.
But there's also like the human brain just wants to categorize stuff. But to an extent, like some people use it as a way to like try and keep people out because they're like, ooh, I like this band. Well, you called it the wrong type of metal or whatever. And it's like, I think that shit's lame. But I think like specifically like doom metal, stoner rock, sludge metal, all of that to be basically the same sort of thing of like it's OG blues metal.
Yeah,
it's like very Black Sabbath inspired, like very bluesy type stuff.
So I have a weird connection to this sine wave of buckets. This is kind of what I want to call it.
Okay.
Is through like the splintering of all this stuff.
Yeah.
I work in customer service. I'm head of a customer service team for an app, and when there's a portion of that job where you have an email ticketing system.
Sure.
Called we use one called Zendesk, but there's a labeling of when someone writes in. Like if you write into customer service, they're going to label your problem with a type.
Oh, it's like this is a technical problem.
Exactly.
This is
what kind of technical problem?
Yeah.
So when I started this job and taking over this team, I asked like about how broken up their issues were.
Yeah.
And they said like, well, we have like this stuff. We have so many. We have 100 different tags. And I'm like, you guys want that to come back down, right? Mm-hmm. And they're like, yeah. So like they're in the middle of like that turning back down of like removing a bunch of tags and compiling them into a simpler tag dimensioning to 4 or 5 things. And so I was like, part of the part was removing all these 100 different tags into about 10. And then after a period of time, we needed a solution for a couple of things because, hey, we need to find out something a little bit more. So there is an opening up of the tags again.
Yeah.
And I think we are in the middle of, so like we'll go from 100 different tags to 10 buckets to 100 buckets to 10 buckets. And that's how everything goes. And that's just how things happen in specifically data analytics because some people need it broken down more, but then you realize you don't need it. And so you start compiling it back again. And so I think that, in metal, we are about to see a surge of like the anti-gatekeeping, where everything is back down to like 5 different buckets for metal, where it's just like there's sludge, there's going to be speed, there's going to be black, and there's just going to be like we are on the verge of like finally that happening.
I think that's a really interesting idea because for so long it's just gotten more and more niche to the point where you've got like certain like subgenres that are like 5 bands, and it's
or
like,
less. It's just one that defines one thing.
Yeah, it's like or it's like entirely based on like lyrical content.
Exactly.
Like people are like, oh, it's pirate metal. It's like, okay, fuck you.
Everyone, shut the fuck up. It's just metal of the Caribbean. It's fine. Like everyone needs to just fucking chill.
Yeah.
And I think that like when there was such progress in metal where it was so comfortable to like it and there was so many different types of it, people wanted it to, again, there's a need sometimes to want to do that, to classify things that way. Where I think that people forgot to put it into tiers of classification rather than splinter it off from the fucking source.
Yeah, no, because it should be like, oh, this is like, this is black metal.
There's black metal, and then there's a bunch of things underneath that.
And then there's things underneath that, and that's an umbrella term for these things. Yeah, no, I 100% agree because I think that like a lot of it doesn't actually mean anything.
No.
It's just an excuse for somebody to be like, technically.
Well,
Yeah. So
I
like,
completely agree. I think it's stupid. I think it's like, just let it fucking happen. Like,
I think a lot of people think of 95.
I've said that we're an emo band, but like, we're probably technically pop punk,
Just like on like structural stuff. Like
Yeah.
there's a bunch of stuff that's like we do that is very, I mean, my drummer is a pop punk drummer. Let's be fucking real.
Sure.
But like it's just be what you say you are.
Yeah.
And like fuck it and just say that you're doing this and everyone should be okay with it. But you're gonna have some people that are gonna be like, well,
Actually.
your BPM is
and it's just like it's I think those type of people and the metal community itself wanted to only have it. It was again, for themselves. And so they created, again, gates.
it's a way
to-
of making yourself feel special.
Yeah, and it should be for everyone.
Yeah.
And because I think it's because music can be made by anyone, and it's again like we talked about, it's not geomusical anymore.
Yeah.
It's literally for everyone, and everyone fucking loves this stuff. So let's all be inspired by it rather
Yeah.
than be gatekeepy about it.
But yeah, this song, this entire project is really cool.
I'm gonna listen to this.
It's
I'm
like
so cool.
It's really heavy, but like you said, it's also like fairly accessible in terms
So
of like
accessible.
the vocals. They've got the black metal thing where it's like they're very like kind of like soaked in reverb and like hard to understand, but they're not like, it's not like death metal vocals where it's like really harsh and grating to somebody who's not used to like listening to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because like you hear just like the like just the crazy like gutturals and
Yeah.
shit, and it's like not everybody wants to hear that.
Yeah.
I do quite often, but
Yeah.
it's like
Okay.
it's like that's not going to be like something that you're just going to pull up for like a regular person and they're going to go, oh yeah, that's cool.
There is do you ever heard of the band? The man Hardy.
Yeah.
Okay, so like Hardy is bringing like almost a metal, almost like this darker type of metal to country.
Yeah, it's a very interesting kind of
Yeah.
what he's doing. Like
He's so fucking cool, dude. Like I think Hardy is so fucking cool. Like everyone loves Morgan Wallen. Morgan Wallen's has a troubled past. I will say, just to make it very, very clear, I think throwing chairs at cops is cool. I think that's super based, but the other stuff he did is completely unexcusable and whatever. But I think that everyone needs to keep their eyes on Hardy, because I think Hardy is doing what these guys are doing, where they're bringing in approachableness. And you get to see, in Nashville, I get to see a really weird thing, where I get to see what the Heartland thinks of things.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And so the Heartland loves country music.
Yeah.
And the Heartland loves easily digestible, and they love blues.
Yeah.
Like it's like
Yeah, yeah.
it's all in the same thing. I think that a band like this could totally make it in more of the public because of how bluesy it is. I think
Yeah.
the Heartland would love this type of music. They just would get scared of like the guttural black metal part of it. But everything outside of it, like everyone still likes Mastodon.
Yeah.
Like Mastodon, I feel like it reached a peak in their career because they were doing interesting bluesy stuff, and they had a clean vocalist almost for the entire time.
Yeah, I think that's honestly the biggest turnoff for a lot of people is like those harsh guttural vocals and
Yeah.
like especially like you go into like the deathcore type shit
yeah.
where it's like you're not even saying words at this point.
Yeah.
You just sound like a monster.
There's this, if you're watching this, you'll see it, but there's been these two moments where both Ryan and I have wanted to do a vocal. And and we both know that we can't do it, and we both stopped ourselves from doing it. I'm like, I'm not gonna do it.
It's like,
I'm gonna sound like shit.
No, I did.
There's no way I can do it.
We both like took the
I
breath
was
and
like,
everything, and then just went.
there's no way. I'm not. No one. Listen, it is such a talent. It is such a talent to be able to do that shit, and it is literally diaphragm throat work, man. It is so cool, but you wouldn't catch me dead.
It's
fucking trying to do that.
It's so weird because I've wanted to know how to do it for so long.
Yeah.
And there's a million videos online that claim to teach you how to do it. And they're all like interesting ways of like trying to get you to control your throat.
Yes.
So they're like, make this sound. This
Yes.
is a sound that a normal
hacking,
person
yeah.
is able to make. Now do what you did there, but try and talk while you're doing it. And
Yes.
that's where I'm like, what?
It's like they're trying to give you the little breadcrumb way of like doing
Yeah.
it. And it's cool. I just know that like I have such a little high squeaky voice when I sing that like I can't like I can scream stuff. I can't do like any of that low weird stuff. Even like a military gun-esque like talkie thing, like, or even turnstile, like
Yeah.
they do it in such a cool way that it's just unapproachable. You have to know your own voice. But like I think that the Heartland is waiting for the next thing to find. We're like Nickelback. Nickelback was pretty fucking heavy, but the Heartland loved it.
Yeah.
And but it's all blues. It's this whole thing. I would love, like, this is a blues metal band.
Yeah,
Stoner blues
100%.
metal band. I
Yeah.
think people would love this.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna be looking out to see when they're playing shows
Yeah,
because
it'd be
I
so much
mean,
fun.
it sounds so cool, and I feel like you don't see a whole lot of scenes for that sort of thing.
Yeah, and it's not, and maybe it's sceneless, but because it's like no one, you know, DIY-ness, the DIY scene was full of people just trying new stuff.
Yeah.
And this is old.
Yeah, no, this is a very older
This is a very
style.
older style, so it's like it kind of weirdly doesn't fit, but like people that are like, I would love to meet like the group of people that like truly love this shit.
Yeah.
Because there's got to be a way to talk to them about like, oh, what do the other bands sound like? Are they all this kind of bluesy, like I don't know, Dark Smoke, fucking like it's so cool that they're doing it like this, but I just want to meet more bands that are doing this kind of thing.
There's a great label called Weedian.
See, it's all stoner metal. It's so fucking tight.
It is. And they do really cool compilations. A new one just came out like the other day. But they do these really cool compilations of these stoner and doom metal bands, and they do it from different geographical places.
Cool.
It's like these are a bunch of bands that we found from Wisconsin, a bunch of bands that we found from Arizona, bunch of bands that we found from the UK.
Yeah.
And it's really cool. Their compilations are great. If you're looking for more stuff that's kind of similar to this, just dive into that label. It's amazing.
All right, cool. I'm going to do the last song.
All right.
All right, so the last song I want to do is Dog Yard by Townies.
Ooh, boy.
And this song is not indicative of like what the rest of the record is like. This is their weird one.
I was going to say, this is a different one.
Like
this is different from a lot of the rest
I
of it.
wanted to play Rust, but y'all fucking already did Rust. And Rust is great. Rust is one of my favorite vocal lines in
This episode's
all
actually
year.
going to come out before, but we recorded it first.
Okay, so you guys are in a month. In a month, you guys are gonna hear this song or called Rust. Don't look it up for a month.
Just listen to the whole
Just
album
listen
right
to the
now.
whole
It's so
album right now.
good.
Say it to my face like you mean it, and I will die alone. Desperate to be misunderstood. Recollecting past the time your religion sworn in son. Could have been if you say so.
God damn, dude.
Yeah, this is so. If you guys haven't listened to the Townies record, this is the weird song from it.
Yeah.
Everything else, I would say these guys are like the new Spin Doctors. Like these guys are doing this really, really cool. It is emo. It is part of the fucking emo spectrum, but they have a clean tone and they lean a little less twinkly. They do twinkle a lot.
Yeah, I was gonna say, especially in this song.
Especially in this song, there's a really classic like twinkle line. But if you listen to like Faux Pas, like there's this
That's
90s
just
thing.
Straight like pop rock.
It's pop rock. It's again 1997, 1998 Breakfast at Tiffany's shit. And it's so fucking cool for a 3-piece to be this interesting.
Yeah.
They're doing such interesting things. The whole of this, I'm certain, is an incredible record, but this song shines because of how different it is. This is their like, cool, we're going to keep our same clean tones that we use for the whole record, and we're going to just do this kind of really, really hard, like here's our, like, I don't want to say it's their hardcore song. I would say like this is their hard song.
Yeah, it's the rhythm section that makes it sound heavy.
It's so cool. I don't know. We were just, while we were listening to it, I'm nervous because if Homie can downpick that the whole time, I'm gonna lose my fucking mind. Because that's when you're going 6 like, I mean, that's crazy. I don't think so. I was like playing along with it. I'm like, I bet he's doing the full up and downs because the upstroke is on that one spot.
Yeah.
But like it's just in the bass, like we know that Homie is just like walking the whole time along it.
It's a very classic kind of bass part. It's not quite like a lot of bands have the tendency for the bass to either play like just the root or to basically just like double the riff like an octave lower.
Yeah.
And they're doing their own bass parts as like another like almost counter melody at times.
I would say it's like they're doing like this stuff that is like great harmony.
Yeah.
But this bassist leans so counter melody throughout the whole record.
Oh yeah.
And it's so much fun. I just think that Townies, again, of all the 5 bands I've picked, like these guys, they're homies. They're on the same record label as me.
Yep.
So I am not biased. I've been listening to this record. I did a review for them for Lonely Ghost.
Yeah, that's right.
And I've listened to this record a lot, and I'm again obsessed with it. I think that they could fucking explode if, like, I want to know what they're going to do the rest of the year. Like, on a business level, I think they are primed for like something huge to happen for them.
To me, I think that this came out at the perfect time.
Yeah.
Because for me, and I don't know if this makes sense to you, but to me, it scratches the same itch as the Liquid Mike record did.
Totally.
And
fuck yeah.
And because that came out, I think like late January, early February or something like that. And so this was like the perfect time when I was like starting to like burn myself out on it, where I had been listening to it so much that, you get to the point you're like, oh, this is so good, I'm going to listen to it all the time. And then after a while, you're like, it doesn't hit as hard because I've just been listening to it. Yeah. And so this came out at the perfect time where it like scratched that same itch. And I think that a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's cool guitar music with great melody.
Yeah.
Because that's an aspect that you don't get necessarily all the time. And I think that it's that focus on melody, but also having memorable guitar riffs that don't sound like anybody else.
Yeah, there are like just these incredible moments, specifically on the record, that are forever ingrained in my mind. And for this, it's the triplets at the end. It's the vocal crunch of, like, in the beginning, that growl that he does as he's screaming along to this, where they're finally going into there's something about the mix that they do in the drums in the beginning where you think it's going to be these really heavy crash cymbals and that, but it's not. It's something else.
Yeah.
And he's blast beating through something, and it might be the ride. I don't know, but like you feel like it's going to be something that it's not.
And it's like slightly different.
It's slightly different, and it's so so interesting. It's like, again, they're matching their clean tones well.
Yeah.
Where and they decided to have the crash cymbal part of their mixed be his voice, where he's screaming along with this whole thing, and that's where I think that's why that part is.
It's
so
kind of
cool.
like it's like their screamo part, basically.
It's so fucking cool. This is the Townie Scram song. Yeah. And it's just very, very interesting to see them kind of like, specifically on this record, like, you know, break away a little bit and like show their, you know, how diverse they can be.
Yeah.
Specifically with the scene, because I know that they're like, listen, well, we would love to do Spin Doctors the whole record, but we can do this other thing too, and we love this shit.
Well, and they've also got like a few songs that incorporate like the acoustic guitar really well too.
Yeah.
Which is not something that you're getting a whole lot in like a lot of the modern stuff. Like, I think that using an acoustic guitar as like a main instrument, and then like especially like
that fucking you talk about faux pas.
Yes. Yeah. But there's a couple other moments on the
Yes.
record too, because there's a great thing in arranging for me for rock music where you can kind of use an acoustic guitar as a percussion instrument.
Yeah, because it clicks better.
Yeah.
And like when you're recording that, like when you, actually we did this song Copper, and at the end of Copper, we were supposed to have like this. I was like, I wanted to do this guitar part on, you know, my Fender, on my fucking telly, and Mikey was like, let's do the final, like, This Place Sucks section with just the acoustic. And so the guitar part of that section is an acoustic, and it hits so much better because it just sounds, you get more of these cool clicks and you get this better strum sound.
Yeah.
And I think that is what Townies is doing for so many of their songs.
Yeah.
Is they were like, listen, it's going to sound so cool. Recorded, and that's a live recorded record. Those are live drums. Those are, it's so incredible, like whoever mixed and mastered that record, because
It sounds so
it
good.
sounds so
and the
good.
performances are so
The
tight,
performances
too.
are so tight. His vocals are just like perfect. I love this band.
Dude, legitimately, it is in at least my top 5 albums of the year so far.
Yep.
Like I said, I think that and Liquid Mike are like tied at like probably like the number 1, number 2.
Fuck yeah, dude. I mean, they're making like just great rock music.
Exactly, and that's the thing, is it's like I hazard to even put a subgenre label on this, because it is, at the end of the day, this is just good rock and roll, man.
Yeah, I think it's and I think right now what we're seeing is bands coming out and saying fuck the whole genre thing.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, I think DIY emo was originally what this whole thing that we were involved in was called.
Yeah.
But it's not that anymore. It's DIY, baby.
Everybody's dropped the emo part of it.
It's just DIY.
And I kind of love that, because it, like, there's less restriction to it.
There's this kind of like so I think it's like a workforce thing where it's like it's like a class of musician where it's, hey, we're on some of us are on labels, but we're on labels that are like a little bit hands off. We're not part of like the higher class of like the people that are automatically on festivals.
We
the people
don't
that are
deal with
booked for-
businessmen in suits.
Yeah, like it's a lots of traditional tattoos, and it's a lot of like boxes and basements full of
Our
records and
label
merch.
is a guy working out of his garage.
Like there's something Mad Max about it. There's something there's something incredible about this scene where, first of all, we all love it, and everyone listens to everything, and it's like, the way I was thinking about it is that there's like maybe $600,000 that's being passed around to all of us merch wise every year. Like it's
just being passed in a circle.
It's that's the economy right now. Is there's this, and it's about like $600,000 between like 400 or 500 bands.
Yeah.
and it's all of us buying merch, and it's all of us. There's this cycle, and it's beautiful, and no one gets hurt.
Yeah.
And no one gets burned, and we all help if something happens and it's legit. And we also kick people out that are like bad people.
Yeah.
And which is, we don't have the problem with doing that. We're like, listen, you don't fucking belong here. Get out.
Yeah.
And it's just really, really nice to know that like there is support.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
and on a way that I don't think it has existed in any other, like from what I've seen.
Yeah.
Like there's more support for bands now coming up than ever before.
It's a great time to be an up and coming musician.
Yeah.
Because there's so many ways that you can get support from independent labels, from just, random people who
Yeah.
think that your shit's cool and are just gonna talk about you all day on Twitter.
Yeah,
no
it's just
reason.
like it's just fun.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody does it because they love it, and I think that that's great.
It's the best part about it.
Do you have anything specifically that you want to hit on one more time before we sign off for the end of the episode?
So we'll probably got some. I mean, you probably when are you gonna do the butt rock thing?
Yeah, all right. So that's hopefully going to be coming out by the end of this month.
Okay, cool.
This is we'll call it the official announcement, because I've been talking about it on Twitter for like forever. But I put together this butt rock compilation. Think like late 90s, early 2000s radio rock that dads listen to. That's what this is. And 95 Corolla,
We're doing it.
Doing a song. I did a song for it. Cascade Riot, who was on last month, they did a song for it. It's going to be super cool. I'm hoping to do like a limited tape run on that. I think it's going to be really fun.
I think it's gonna be really fun. I've seen the list of the songs. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Besides that, we've been playing shows, man. We're gonna be playing shows. We're gonna be taking a break between August and September to like fucking relax.
Yeah.
Because I think I have 10 shows between now and the end of July.
This summer's going to be wild.
This
for
summer's
you
gonna be
guys.
fucking.
You're going to
it's
be
stupid. It's gonna be
like pedal to the
crazy.
metal the whole time.
It's like we've never done anything like this. We're just gonna see how far we can go and then take a break and then like process then.
Totally fair.
And yeah, I think just if you hear about emo car band 95 Corolla, come say hi.
All right. This has been the Fresh Finds Podcast, the show about discovering new music with good people.
Hey man, I made it to the other side. It was good. I tried to play video games, but every time I started a game, I got confused and I stopped. I ended up playing Guilty Gear for like 3 hours because those games were short enough for me to not get confused. My girlfriend came home. She tried to play Detroit Become Human with me, but I couldn't read or hear anything. I thought I was gonna die at least 3 different times, but I did not. I couldn't keep my eyes open for a little bit of time. I cleaned my whole house. I definitely cleaned my whole house. But I was struggling. It took me like an hour and a half to get all the dishes from the sink to the dishwasher. But yeah, that's all. Okay. Bye.